Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look at Matic, and just before we do, we're going to peek over at Bitcoin, but I can tell you it's kind of uneventful. We're just trending right around 49,000. It can't quite make up its mind if it wants to take off or to stay where it's at. It's because of the standard, kind of what's going on in the world right now. We've got some interesting stuff, in with the pandemic, for example, that has created a pretty large effect on the downward price action. Same thing with the stock market as well. And ultimately, I just think that it's one of those things where we're going to be able to see Bitcoin go sideways for a little bit longer. I don't expect it to just shoot right back up in the immediate future. I think we're just going to need it to stabilize first. Anytime you see a coin drop 27% in 16 hours, it's going to take a little while to recover. Okay, just bear that in mind. So that's kind of where we're at there for Bitcoin at the moment. And just before we take a look at Matic here, I just want to let you know I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to trade. I am, just very passionate about helping people become better, more self-sufficient financially. So check out my community. I actually have a trading community. Link in the description below for that. Bear in mind too, we're making a transition to an actual website where we can facilitate the entire learning environment there. Right? In other words, we'll still use Telegram and Discord, of course, but it'll be a great way to onboard and also have some additional resources there for current subscribing members. So check that out. Be on the lookout for that, actually. We won't have that up and running until end of month, but we're going to get that very, very soon. So just be on the lookout for that. Taking a look here at Matic, obviously we've got some pretty cool stuff going on here. Now this is a one-day chart, and you can see these very large candle wicks. And the fact that Bitcoin is doing what it did recently, and Matic has this kind of price action is amazing to me. So, it's a very, very good sign, especially the fact that, Ethereum is also doing very well, contrary to what Bitcoin is doing. That tells me that these are some really stable coins and the coins that are going to be able to, have that longevity, so to speak. So Matic is definitely one of those. If you aren't already invested in Matic, definitely recommend doing so. Take a look here at the moving averages. The 50-day simple moving average worked out fantastic. Price bounced off it, I say basically twice in the last 3 days, and I don't think we're going to see it tested again. We might see a little bit of a correction in the near future. This seems to be a pretty large candle wick, but we'll obviously be able to identify that in smaller time frames. But take a look at this as well. Most coins are under 50 on the RSI in the 1 day. Matic is still trending closer to 60. That's fantastic. We didn't even see the price come down as low as where it should have to basically create a bounce off of 50 on the RSI. So amazing stuff there for Matic. Still doing very, very well. Good, very strong. Take a look at this. Just broke through the 4-hour 50-day simple moving average, and it's trending its way upwards. You can see it kind of working its way through the ranks. And by the way, what these lines are here, this is a 1-day candlestick close, the previous all-time high, the most recent high, and then of course the all-time high up here. So there's some resistance channels, of course, that we need to break through. But for right now, it's doing a very good job. Just bear in mind, it's a bit on the overextended side on just say to have only 2 4-hour candlesticks that large. I mean, from bottom to top in the last 8 hours, we've seen about a 21% recovery. Matic is definitely doing well, but bear in mind that's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. It would be healthy if it were to consolidate and go sideways a little bit, right? Just in the general sense of things, that's what I like to see. Looking at the RSI though, back up over 50 on the 4-hour. That's fantastic. Ultimately, we also have a MACD convergence soon to occur. It's not a guarantee, but it could occur soon. And that's also a great sign for bullish momentum. In other words, the bulls are probably in control. They haven't officially taken control according to the MACD convergence, but you can see that the bears are waning and the bulls are waxing, if that makes any sense. No moon analogies there, but that's kind of what you're referring to, right? Now, moving on to the 1 hour, let's see what's going on here. We're above the Ishimoku cloud, so this is a very good sign. This definitely helps us a lot. We can see the conversion line just intersected with the baseline. Only thing actually, lagging span is just peaking above 2. It's, again, a little premature, but we're almost to that point right now where we should have a buy signal according to the Ishimoku cloud. And oftentimes when the price breaks above the cloud, you'll see a MACD convergence within 48 hours of that. So I'd pay attention to see that. If we're to get that convergence in the MACD here soon, that would be a great indication of a buy signal. Just bear in mind, Bitcoin state of indecision, we could see a massive correction here soon because this is something that I noted yesterday with my community, and I just want you to be aware of this. When Bitcoin corrected 3.5%, I believe it was yesterday, on the 5th, Matic experienced a 10.5% correction in that same 3 hours. So 3 hours of Bitcoin went down 3.5%, Matic went down 10.5%. So even though it's all well and good that the price is responding well right now, okay, obviously we got this increase, looks really good, we're above the cloud, almost converged on the MACD. Those are all good buying signs. The only concern that I would have, of course, is the fact that we have this knee-jerk reaction going on with most coins right now. I just want you to be aware that it may not apply to Matic as much, even though it did yesterday. It might be less substantial today. But just note, if Bitcoin were to sell off from 49 to 47,000, come down that 2.5–3% again, we could see that kind of correction occur with Matic. And that wouldn't be terrible, don't get me wrong, because Matic has strong potential. But coming up to these resistance channels, concurrent with the fact that Bitcoin could sell off at any moment, those are some mitigating factors, right? So just be aware of that. It doesn't mean that Matic's not still strong. It's not going to still survive. It's just if you're going to have a really tight stop loss, it may not be advantageous, right? I would say consider no stop loss at all, or at least a trailing stop loss, or maybe a trailing take profit percentage of 2 to 3%, something that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you hit your goal, you're not going to immediately get stopped out, or you don't hit your goal, you're not going to get stopped out either, right? Those are just things I want to recommend that you consider. Now, for the most part, the market conditions being where they're at, even though Matic is doing very well, I would still be apprehensive about taking a position, at least a very substantial position. So my recommendation for something like this at all times is to dollar cost average. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. In fact, I'm going to get some probably like hoodie or some mugs for our website, so you can essentially just be able to have that, and it's just going to say dollar cost average, DCA. Because I say that a lot, and I recognize that, but I say that a lot because people go all in crypto, and it's a wrecker. It'll just tear you up half the time. And if you don't go all in and you just kind of slowly add to your position, you're going to be much better off. Okay, I teach that to my community members all the time. Be cautious, be careful, and make sure you don't just again, go all in, right? But here's something to note really quick before we call it a day. You can see we hit a 9 on TD sequential when the price came down, went sideways, and now we're back up to a 5. So we do have potential of 4 more hours of bullish momentum. I'd be excited to see if we can break $2.20. That seems to be a nice resistance level there. And you can see that TD sequential is kind of telling us that that was the most recent high when we hit a 9, and we got to be aware of the fact that that could very well be a stopping point. In fact, the price could be coming back down right now because of that. Just bear that, kind of just keep that in the forefront of, your decision making here. We have a strong resistance channel between 220 and roughly about 240. That's the immediate potential there. Very last thing we want to maybe take a look at is the volume profile. And we'll just kind of look at the most recent time frame ever since, it hit its highest points to its lowest point. We've seen the strongest amount of volume accumulation, about 191. What that does, it tells us that our price is above that potential resistance, creating a support. So if you know anything about volume weighted average price or volume profile, the largest accumulation of volume is traditionally going to be a support or resistance zone. Okay, so ultimately what we see here right now, that is a good sign. And if you were to go to say to the 15-minute chart and you were to look at the EMA and VWAP, and you turn on the standard deviation lines, you can see we're outside that standard deviation, right? So it's all well and good that we're above this volume profile here, right? That volume weighted average price basically telling us that it's working as a support. We're outside these deviation lines, and we're going to see the price come down and correct itself within. That's something you got to pay attention to as well. And I'll give more trainings on this too. This is also something I'm working on currently. And every week we'll see at least one new indicator video. My plan is to have a good, strong library for my community to ensure that you have better understanding of how these things work. But just know that right now we're above that volume accumulation on the 1 hour, at least in this time frame here. And that's a good sign. That should work as a support level. So the price does come back down to correct itself, which it naturally should. Then we should expect maybe a bounce somewhere around here, right around 197. That would be my speculation. And that would just create higher highs and higher lows, right? But we got to break this channel of lower highs and lower lows. And right now we just saw a big, strong lower channel, and we've got to break through that. Okay, just know 220 is a strong resistance level. So try not to buy into 220. Wait until it establishes itself as a support level. And even better, if we can get 220 to close on the one-day candlestick, that's a case in point when you want to consider taking entry. All right, we'll go ahead and take another look at this again soon. It's definitely on my immediate radar. Thanks again to my patrons, community members, etc., for requesting that I cover this. And if you learned something here today, go ahead and comment below. And if not, that's okay too. Feel free to join my Patreon community. Once more, that will be changing to an actual website. We're going to be able to register everything through a website, make it a lot easier for everyone. More user-friendly, a nice, good, awesome hub for everyone to learn and grow together. So thanks again for your time. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.